Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about chest armor. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you've probably seen this one before. So I'm going to talk about how I built it, and I'm actually going to build another one in this video. But not like this one, it's going to be a different design. But I'll show you, this one I built from individual panels, and here's the back of it. And you can see how I had to cut out some odd shaped pieces to make the transitions. And the way I figured out how to do that, and by the way, this is stainless steel. The ab pieces are stainless steel, the rest of it is just mild steel. And the way I did the layout for this is I started with something like this made out of cardboard, and you can see the inside is just shaped simply like that, and I cut individual pieces and I put it on. I sized it to fit myself, so it was a pretty basic and pretty crude method of doing it. And with this one, I can't remember which one I made first, but here's one. I think the problem was this shape doesn't fit the body very well. So I decided to go with a more natural shape. So I made this. This one is damaged. I'll have to glue it back together. But it's more form-fitting, but it's really kind of thin and petite. So I said it's not very, it doesn't have very much visual appeal. So I stepped it up and made this one. This has a lot more visual appeal. It has the pecs bulging, the abs bulging, and plus on the inside it's more flat to fit against the chest more, contours around the abdomen. So this design has a cutout around the neck, so this design was actually pretty nice. And also it has a little bit of cutout here to go around the shoulders like this. So this was a good design. But with this one, it doesn't have the bulging pecs or anything like that. So I decided that with the next one that I build, I would add that. And this one right here is not complete. The abs are actually not even fully attached, so I'm holding it carefully so they don't fall off. These were made from small pieces that I welded together, and I'm going to weld them into place. You can see how rusty it is. I made this around the same time as I made, well, a little after making that one, but for some reason this steel, it's prone to rust. I don't know why, but I had put this project down because I was working on more of the mechanical aspects of the exoskeleton itself. This is kind of a decorative thing, but I'm going to finish this one. My goal was always to have multiple chest armors so I could switch them around, and as part of that I even cut out material to make one out of pure stainless steel. That's what this is here, and even make a very robust looking one made from this diamond plate type of material. So I plan to do that also. But the focus of this video is to work on this one. And what I'm going to do here, another surprise that I have, is there's going to be similar to what I showed you here. There's going to be my insignia in the center. So I have this ring which is going to be mounted in the center of the chest. I'm actually going to cut out some of the pec to fit it in. And then, not only that, I have this, I cut this L out of this piece of steel plate, and that's going to be inside of it. Then I'm going to have a light so it illuminates. And I think it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be pretty interesting. In case you were wondering about the rivets on this, they're not really rivets. The way I made this is, here for example, this was a practice piece for the abs like that. And as you see, I punched holes in it. And the actual rivets are from the machine, the hole punching machine. So what I did is I had a piece and I just punched a bunch of holes in it, and that left me with all of these little punchings right here, which kind of look like buttons. So then what I did is I set a button on top of each hole like that, and then I plug welded it from the back, so it looks like a rivet, but it's not. I determined the first step that I should do in finishing this is to remove the rust. So I'm going to use this angle grinder with a wire wheel, and I'm going to go over it to remove the rust. As you can see, I've already tested it and it worked pretty well. I actually did this with some sandpaper, but that was too labor intensive. It took too long. So let's see how the grinder works. So that method is definitely working. It's gonna take some more effort. Maybe I'll go over it with some fine sandpaper just to clean it up a bit more afterward. Alright, so here I have the chest armor, and it's been polished a bit. Most of the rust is gone, and you might be able to see that I outlined a circle here, and that's for the ring, which will be in the center. So now what I'm going to do is cut out that area, and I'm going to cut it with this angle grinder, just carefully going around the circle, and then cut straight down here and there and there. And I wanted to use a jigsaw, but the jigsaw blade's a bit too long for this. So we'll see how it goes with an angle grinder. You can see that it is cutting where I want it to, so I just have to be very careful. So I think I can get it done. Alright, got the shape cut out, so now let me try to pry the pieces out. Okay, I'm gonna have to re-tack weld this, but the whole thing's gonna be re-welded anyway, so here's half of it out. Here's the other half. So there, let me see if I can fit the ring inside of it. And there it is. Very nice. So as you can see, it protrudes up quite a bit from the chest. And I like that look, but the only problem is, as you can see up here and down there, there's a gap because of the taper. So I might actually weld in a filler plate up there and there, curve a piece and weld it in to fit. Or I'll just cut out the center and set the ring in even deeper. And then instead of it protruding out so high like this, it'll just protrude above it just a little bit. Just enough to give it some nice texture. Either way, I think it's turning out nicely. We put this ring in, the letter. Have to weld it in place, of course. And imagine it with the lights behind it and with the abs on. I think this one's turning out really nicely. Now I have the back section of the chest area cut out, which is fortunately it was fortunate that I was able to use the jigsaw for that. And here's the piece. I put a metal cutting blade on the jigsaw. And there's a bit of a compromise. Not only did I cut this section out, but I also got the idea to trim this ring, as you can see. And now this instep area, or this recessed area, will sit up while this part will drop down and fit in over that taper. And with a little bit more adjustment, you can see it fits pretty nicely. There's a small gap. I'll close it up a little bit more with some fine tuning and then just weld everything shut. But you can see that it doesn't sit up quite as high, but it still has some protrusion, which looks nice. And a trick for figuring out how to trim this without having to waste metal is I just made this ring out of cardboard and put it on, set it in place, took some experimental cuts until it fit, and traced it onto the actual ring, and that worked really well. So I'm making good progress. Alright, I just I finished tack welding the ring in place on the back. I'm going to go around, weld the rim, then turn it around and weld the rim in here. And I also tack welded on 2 of the ab pieces just for layout to see how it looks. So I have to weld around this ring first before I can put the other ab pieces in, because they come so close to here that I won't be able to weld in these grooves once they're there. Alright everyone, I have more of the welding done. These abs are fully welded in, and these abs are only tack welded in. And the reason for that is they're so close together, I was able to weld these completely because they were on by themselves. But now that these are here, I can't get the MIG gun down, the nozzle down into that gap. So what I had to do is buy some stick welding rods, shielded metal arc welding to be technical, so that I could put the rod down in there and weld it like that. Alright, it's time to talk about some more progress. Off camera, I got most of the welding done, and turned out okay. Some of it I have to clean up some more. I'm actually going to these welds, I welded the corner joints, and I'm actually going to grind them flat, grind them clean away. But I'll leave the welds around this rim because I like the way that looks. Like that. And keep this. But these I'm going to grind to a clean edge. I also welded around all of the abs, and I think the weld bead kind of takes away from the protrusion of the abs, so I started grinding them away, grinding them down so they're not so visible, and I have to clean that up some more, so I'll be doing more of that. But even though I did most of the welding off camera, I'm going to do some more so you can see it. And what I'm going to weld next is I'm going to weld this into place. There it is. I like how it has this recess. And when I fill that with the weld, I think it's going to look really good, really mechanical. Alright, so here it is. It's tacked into place. And I'm about to weld it. I'm going to weld entirely around it because when I install the lights to illuminate it, I don't want any light leaking out from the edges. I just want it coming out from the letter L itself. So here I go. I'm going to weld it a little at a time, a little bit here, a little bit there, because the heat causes the metal to expand and contract, and I don't want it to warp. So I'm going to weld it slowly, and I'll show it to you when I'm done. Okay. And that's it. Okay, everyone, what I have right here is a sheet of Lexan polycarbonate. It's a type of plastic. A lot of, I think, safety glasses and face shields, some of them are made from this material, so it's very strong. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this small vertical milling machine, and I'm going to carve out or mill out the shape of an L on here. What I have is, this is the stencil that I made, and I traced it onto here. So I'm going to mill out basically what's represented by the cardboard here, and then I'll cut it into a disc. And what I'm going to do with that is on the chest armor, I'll place it inside here, so the L, which is carved out, which will protrude through this plastic a little bit to give it a more finished look, so when the light is behind it, it'll almost be like a window. It'll just give it a cleaner, more finished look, so it's not just bare metal. Now here's the piece set up in the milling machine, and I'm about to start. I'm just going to use the controls as best I can to stay around the lines. If I had a CNC mill, that would be a lot easier, but I don't have that. So here we go. Let's see how it goes. After about 3 hours of milling, here's the result. You can see the L is elevated above the back, and the blue circle around it is where I'm going to cut it out. And if I put the template, the stencil, back over it, it fits on, it slides in nicely like that. So that means it should fit in the chest armor. So let me cut it out and put it in position. Okay everyone, it's time for another update on the progress of the chest armor, the second chest armor for the exoskeleton. And you've already seen this, so let me show you what's new. Here is the plastic window that will go inside. I milled this on the milling machine as you saw it. I took the laminate film off of it, so now it's totally clear, and it looks kind of good, but there's a problem with this, in that when I put it in position, the problem with it being clear is that it's kind of like a car without tinted windows. You can just see inside of it so easily, and I think that'll take away from the look because you'll be able to see the electronics too clearly. So what I did is I bought a piece of a thin sheet of HDPE, high density polyethylene. It's what a lot of plastic like milk jugs are made from, and I cut a circle, and I'm going to keep that in the back of it, which basically gives it a little more clouded look. So it'll be more like a white light when the light shines through it. And speaking of the lights, so what I came up with is I took this disc, which was cut out of the chest initially, and I welded some flat pieces on it, and this is going to go inside here. And what I'll do next is I'll take these LED strip lights, which have double-sided tape on the back. They come together, you separate them, and you can see that they're strips individually. So what I'm going to do, I need 9 of these, and I will attach them inside. One on here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of them. So they'll be on the inside here, and there'll be 3 of them on the plate itself, all in areas where they're not shining directly out the window and not directly visible. So it should just fill the area with light, and it'll just exit like a strong beam out the opening, hopefully. Alright, I have 8 of the 9 LED strips in position, and I'm going to put the 9th one in position now, after I pull off this piece of the backing from the double-sided tape. And I just stick it in. And there we go. And then the wires come out here. All of the LED units are connected in series, which means the wires are connecting from one to the next, and therefore I could wire them up easily with these 2 sets of wires. And I'm going to use a 12-volt battery pack. So you can see what I meant by I didn't want this window to be totally clear. And even if it is totally clear, I arranged the LEDs, or at least I tried to arrange them in a way where they're not directly in front of the window. So let's see. You can't really see them, but still I don't think it looks good with that completely clear plastic. So I'm going to put the HDPE, high density polyethylene, in front of it. I think that looks better. So now let me attach the battery pack and do a test of the lights. Okay, I've done a rudimentary job of wiring the terminals together. Let's see how they look when I attach them to a battery. It's pretty bright. I mean, I think it looks brighter on camera than what it does in real life. I'm not entirely sure that this is going to be bright enough, because I want it to be super bright, like a beam. Powerful beam of light coming out of the chest. Okay, I have the lighting assembly in place, and I haven't looked at it yet, I haven't tested it, so you're going to see it for the first time along with me. So let me connect the battery. That's actually not terrible. That's really not bad. I could see, I'm not sure if you could tell on camera, but right in this area I could see some of the wires, because I just have the wires bunched up in the wire nuts that's connecting it. I'll solder the connections for the final assembly, so I'm going to have to rearrange some of that, but it's actually not terrible. I mean, it's pretty okay. It kind of looks blue to me on camera, but it's white light. Let me turn off some of the lights. There's one light turned off. Let me turn off another light. Yeah, this might work. Well, here it is. I'm not gonna lie, it's incredibly uncomfortable. I've been wearing it for the past 20 minutes, taking selfies and videos to try to get a good thumbnail. So I can't wait to put it on the exoskeleton mounted on there. But for now, it's looking good. But if you want to see how I'm powering it, you can see there are no visible wires. If you want to see how I'm putting it together, how I get the power and everything, make it a single isolated unit, you're going to have to watch part 2 for that. So, Supervillains, the exoskeleton's coming together. In about 3 or 4 more years, it's going to be done, and then I'm coming for you. As for everyone else, I hope you always find something to look forward to, and I'll see you in the future.